AITA for my petty revenge after catching my fiancée clubbing with another man? I have been putting off writing this story for quite a while because honestly, it still takes a hell of a lot out of me just to think about it. But I need to get it all out, and maybe the disaster of my relationship can help someone else avoid the same mistakes I made. Madison, which is obviously not her real name, and I were together for 4 years. We met at my buddy Brian's housewarming party. Usually, I am not the type to just go up and talk to random girls, but Madison was different. She was loud, funny, the center of attention. Basically, the exact opposite of me. I am more of the type to stay at home, watch a movie, or invite a few friends over. But that night, we clicked. From the very beginning, I knew she loved to party. Her entire identity revolved around it. Going out, getting wasted, and doing stupid things with her friends. Her group, especially Kelsey, Brittany, and this guy Zach, were all the same. Always talking about the club with the best DJ of the weekend, or posting their cringy group photos where everyone is holding a drink and making stupid faces. I put up with her friends because I loved her, but frankly, they were exhausting. Always some drama, always gossiping, always competing to see who had the craziest weekend. And they never grew up. We were all approaching our 30s, and they still acted like they were 21. It was embarrassing sometimes. When things started getting serious between Madison and me, I compromised a lot. I started going out more often, even though clubs are my personal definition of hell. I would stand there with overpriced drinks, making awkward small talk with her friends who clearly found me boring. I rearranged my schedule so I could stay up late on weekends. I even moved into a more expensive apartment closer to downtown because she said my old place was too far from everything. Meanwhile, I was paying about 70% of the rent because she kept bouncing from job to job without ever staying very long. After a year and a half, I told her straight up that even though I respected her social side, this nonstop party lifestyle was not something I could put up with forever. I wanted more. I wanted a home, a family, something real. She swore to me that she was just growing out of that phase, that she wanted the same things as me. I believed her. I needed to believe it. When I proposed to her 2 years ago, we had a real talk about our future. I put everything on the table. I wanted us to be a committed team, united in our goals. Madison promised me with tears in her eyes that she was ready to turn the page, that her partying years were behind her, that she wanted to take the next step. And for a while, everything was great. She went out less, talked about wedding plans, the house we wanted to buy, and even brought up baby names from time to time. Her friends made fun of her for becoming boring, but she did not care. I really believed we were on the same page. We set a date and put down deposits. Obviously, I paid the majority since she had practically no savings. We sent out the save the dates, the whole 9 yards. My parents also chipped in because they were so happy I had found the one. My mom spent hours helping Madison pick out centerpieces and bridesmaid dresses. My dad offered to pay for our honeymoon as a wedding gift. My whole family was invested in this wedding, and I had invested everything in this relationship. My time, my money, my heart, my future plans, everything revolved around Madison. Then about 6 months ago, I started noticing changes. Madison started texting a lot again without ever saying who it was. Her friends were surfacing more and more often. She would say she was just having lunch with Kelsey, but would come home 6 hours later. When I asked her questions, she would immediately get defensive and accuse me of trying to control her. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid. After all, she had promised me she was done with that kind of life. No, we had a wedding to plan. We were building a future. Why throw it all away now? So, I ignored the fact that her phone was constantly placed face down on the table. I ignored that she stopped sharing her location on Instagram when she used to post everything. But the worst was when she started getting all dressed up just to go to the mall with Brittany. Her phone would suddenly end up face down on the table when it used to always be face up. She stopped tagging locations in her Instagram posts. Classic stuff that I was too stupid to really notice. I ignored it all because our wedding was approaching, because I did not want to be that jealous and insecure guy, because I had already invested so much, because I loved her and wanted to believe she loved me too. I was working like crazy at a job I hated just to pay for the wedding she dreamed of. I cut back on hanging out with my own friends to spend more time with her. I even sold my project car, the classic Mustang I had been restoring for years, to help pay for the honeymoon she absolutely wanted. After all that, all I wanted was a quiet evening with her. The week had been hell, 60 hours of work, and I was exhausted. but spending some time together felt necessary. We had drifted apart, me caught up with work, her always out for girls' nights, or whatever else. I thought a night at home would do us some good. I had no idea what was really going on. I got home around 7 and Madison was in the kitchen being super dramatic. She was doing these big, exaggerated yawns, talking about how exhausted she was from work even though she had only worked 4 hours that day. I remember exactly what she said. "Babe, I am completely dead. I think I am just going to take a shower and go to bed early tonight." I was a little disappointed. I wanted to spend time with her, but I figured at least she was home with me. Which, looking back, is pathetic. I even offered to make her some tea or something, but she refused. She was probably going to fall asleep within 10 minutes. So, she went into our bedroom. I heard the shower running, then nothing. I settled onto the couch to watch a Netflix show I do not even remember the name of. An hour later, my phone vibrates. A Snapchat streak from Kelsey, which was super weird because Kelsey almost always ignored me. She was one of Madison's main party friends, and she clearly found me boring. We were not even friends on Snapchat as far as I knew, but whatever, I opened it. It was a video taken inside Club Pulse downtown. Flashing lights, music so loud the video was just a mix of distorted bass, people dancing, etc. And right in the middle of all that, Madison. My Madison. I stared at my phone, unable to comprehend what I was seeing. Madison in a dress I had never seen before, dancing very closely with that guy Zach at Club Pulse, whispering something in his ear, laughing like they were sharing an inside joke. My Madison, the one who was supposed to be sleeping in our bed. There had to be an explanation. Maybe an old video, maybe a girl who looked like her. I replayed the video over and over. No, it was her. The same bracelet, the same nails she got done last week, the same way she tilted her head when she laughed. I felt my stomach tied in knots, but I had to be sure. I got off the couch and walked toward our bedroom, my brain racing. Maybe she was just in the bathroom. Maybe she was sleeping and it was just some absurd misunderstanding. I pushed the door open gently. The bed was untouched, barely disturbed. My eyes adjusted to the dark. She was not there. My chest tightened. This was not just a lie. It was planned. I turned to the bathroom. The door was ajar. I walked in, my heart pounding. The shower was dry. No steam, no damp towel. The window looked out the back of the building, where the fire escape is. She must have gone out that way after her shower, probably with a change of clothes hidden somewhere, like a 16-year-old sneaking out after curfew. I stood there, clutching the windowsill, trying to wrap my head around the stupidity of this whole setup. This was not just sneaking out. It was a full-blown premeditated operation. How many times had I kissed her goodnight, thinking she was sleeping peacefully while she was sneaking out to do this kind of thing? I needed confirmation. I needed to hear her lie to me. I grabbed my phone and sent a text. "Are you still awake?" Barely 10 seconds later, the screen lit up. "No, babe, already half asleep." "What?" I let out a hollow laugh. "Half asleep." She was out there dancing very closely with Zach like she did not have a future husband, like she did not sneak out of our apartment to break my trust in the worst way. The same woman who had sworn to me with tears in her eyes that she was done with that lifestyle. The one who told me she wanted to grow up, build something real, commit to a life together. I stood there, phone in hand, staring at that message. She was so sure I would not check, so confident in her little act that she did not even hesitate before lying to my face. That is when something inside me snapped. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to Club Pulse. I did not even take the time to change after work. The whole drive, my brain was stuck on a loop. How many times had she done this before? How many times had I fallen asleep thinking she was in our bed, when in reality, she was out with another guy? The club had a line, but I cut through, paid the cover, and walked straight inside. The place was packed, the music blasting, lights flashing everywhere. It took me maybe 10 minutes to spot her in the crowd. Madison was wearing a dress I had never seen. Zach had an arm around her waist, and they were taking shots with Kelsey, Brittany, and some other people I recognized from Instagram. They all looked so comfortable together, like it was their regular routine. I stood there for a moment watching them. Madison was laughing, touching Zach's chest, completely in her element. Meanwhile, I was walking on eggshells at home thinking she was asleep. I felt like the biggest idiot. And then I exploded. I walked up. I grabbed Madison by the arm and said, "We need to talk. Now." The look she gave me, I will remember it for the rest of my life. First total shock, then panic, and then she tried to play it cool. "Oh, hey babe, what are you doing here?" Zach stepped in, puffed up like a rooster, asking who I was. I told him I was the man she was engaged to, the guy who pays most of our bills while she plays single out here. And this guy had the nerve to laugh and tell me to calm down, that they were just having fun. I nearly lost it right there. I have never been the fighting type, but right then, I was ready. Madison was trying to pull me back. Her friends started filming everything with their phones, and Zach was staring at me with this smug smirk. I told Madison we were leaving. Zach grabbed my shoulder. I pushed him away. The bouncers started walking over. So, I pulled her toward the exit. Her friends were screaming nonsense as we left, that I was a psycho, a controlling guy, that I was ruining the vibe. Once in the car, the excuses started. She was not even sorry she got caught. She was just looking for a story I would believe. She ended up making up some ridiculous excuse about a bet with her friends. Apparently, they dared her to relive her wild years for one night without me noticing. Can you believe that? Like I was going to swallow that sneaking out the window and dancing very closely with Zach in a club was just an innocent game. The whole ride, she kept talking, and I was only thinking about one thing. All those nights, I worked late to pay for our wedding while she was probably doing the exact same thing. For years together, a $30,000 wedding. And this is the respect I get. The worst part is that she seemed more angry that I embarrassed her in front of her friends than worried about being exposed. Like, she was furious that I came to get her in public. Apparently, I should have just texted her. Yeah, sure, because she definitely would have told me the truth after lying to me all night. I brought up the open window. You want to know what she said? I did not think you would check. Not a word of apology, not an I messed up, just a way of admitting she took me for a fool. That is when I realized. It was just the first time she got caught. I started thinking back to all those girls' nights and work events over the last few months. All those times she was too tired to spend time with me, but strangely full of energy to go out. All those 3 in the morning Uber rides showing up on our joint card. It all made sense now. We were halfway home on a mostly deserted road when she said something that completely broke me. I asked her, "Did you ever really intend to keep your promise to quit this party lifestyle, or was it just nonsense to get me to propose?" She sighed, annoyed, and said, "People change, Dylan. I am still young. I cannot become a boring housewife overnight just because you put a ring on my finger." And there it is. 4 years together, all those talks about our future, all those promises about wanting the same things. And she casually admits that it was all just a lie to trap me. I could not even look at her anymore. I slowed down and pulled over to the side of the road, not at a gas station or a restaurant, just on an empty stretch of road. I told her to get out. At first, she thought I was joking. She laughed, like, very funny, but I just sat there. Engine running, car in neutral, waiting. When she realized I was not kidding, she freaked out. She started screaming that I could not leave her there, that it was dangerous, that I was abusive. I did not budge. I told her to call one of her party friends to come get her. She refused to get out. So, I took out my phone and ordered her an Uber. It was about $40 because we were kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I did not care. I just needed her out of my car before I said something I would regret. I waited until the Uber's headlights appeared in the distance. Now she was crying for real, telling me she was sorry, begging me not to throw away 4 years of a relationship over a single mistake. But all I could think about was her arranging her pillows in our bed. The planning, the deliberate deception, it was not a mistake. It was simply who she was. When the Uber arrived, she finally got out, slamming my car door so hard I thought the window was going to shatter. I did not even watch her get into the other car. I just hit the road, booked a hotel room, and turned off my phone. I spent the whole night replaying every moment of our relationship in my head. All the red flags I had ignored. All the times I had compromised on what I wanted because she had convinced me I was too traditional or not spontaneous enough. I realized I was trying to mold myself into her life instead of building a life together. The next morning, I called the wedding venue to cancel the reservation. Then the caterer, the DJ, the photographer. Most of them had non-refundable deposits, so I lost thousands of dollars, but I did not care. I just wanted it all to be over. I had not told my family or hers yet. I had not posted anything online. I simply, methodically erased every trace of our shared future. Madison would not stop calling and texting. First, crying voicemails saying how sorry she was. Then furious texts accusing me of punishing her and being cruel. Then more begging. I ignored it all. When I finally got back to our apartment the next afternoon, She was there waiting for me. She had obviously been crying all night, but she had also taken the time to get ready. Hair perfect, makeup flawless, wearing the sweater she knew I liked. Classic manipulation. She was acting like we were just going to talk it out and move on. She started talking about healing our relationship and rebuilding trust. I stood there without saying a word, letting her ramble on until I finally said, "The wedding is canceled." You should have seen her face. Total shock, like the idea that I might actually enforce a consequence had never crossed her mind. "What do you mean canceled? Did you tell our parents and the vendors? We can reschedule, right?" "No." She kept asking questions. So, I showed her the cancellation emails on my phone. That is when she completely lost it. Screaming, crying, insulting me. She called me every name in the book, accusing me of ruining everything over one simple mistake, of throwing away a 4-year relationship for nothing. That is when I told her she had to move out before the end of the month, reminding her that the lease was in my name, not hers. She had always been too independent to sign official papers, which in this case worked out pretty well in my favor. No more screaming, no more tears. Then she changed her strategy and tried to seduce me. She started kissing my neck, saying we could get through this and come out stronger. When that did not work, she switched back to anger. The whole time, I could only think of one thing. Who is this person? The woman I thought I was marrying, the one I had built my entire future around, had become a complete stranger to me. She ended up slamming the door so hard that a framed picture of us fell off the wall and shattered. It was almost symbolic. I changed the locks that same day. I knew there might be rules about notice, but I did not trust her not to come back and trash the apartment while I was gone. I left her key and a note with the building manager about picking up her stuff. I thought it was over, but less than 24 hours later, the real storm started on social media. The next morning, I woke up to my phone blowing up. Texts, calls from my friends, my family, even coworkers. At first, I did not understand. I had not told anyone about the breakup yet except my best friend Brian. Then I opened Instagram and saw Madison's friend Kelsey had posted the video taken at the club, but not the Snapchat one where Madison was dancing very closely with Zach. No, it was a video edited after I arrived, carefully cut to only show me grabbing Madison's arm and pulling her away without any context. The caption said something like, "Look at this controlling psycho dragging his future wife out of the club just because she was dancing with her friends. This is abuse." Sharing so everyone knows what kind of man Dylan is. The comments were a disaster. Strangers were insulting me. Abusive, possessive, toxic. Madison's friends were piling on. He has always been like this, so jealous and domineering. She is not even allowed to go out without him freaking out. That is why she was pulling away. She was scared of him. Complete lies, but people believed them. The post already had hundreds of comments, and then I saw that Madison had posted a selfie, looking sad, eyes puffy, with no makeup, which, knowing Madison, was practically impossible. She did not even go out to get the mail without mascara on. The caption was a long, dramatic paragraph about going through a hard time, learning who your real friends are, toxic relationships, and finding her voice. She never accused me directly, which was smart, but she implied it. And everyone played along in the comments. "We are here for you, gorgeous. You are so brave. You deserve better." I was furious. These people were rewriting reality. The girl who had broken my trust in the worst way and lied to my face was now the victim, and I was the monster. But the worst part was that some of our mutual friends, people who had been at our engagement party and were supposed to be in our wedding party, were liking these posts. Some even added their own comments about how they had always seen the red flags and how I had treated Madison. I wanted to defend myself, to tell my side of the story. I started typing out a long, detailed explanation on my own page. But halfway through, I stopped. What was I doing? Getting dragged into social media drama like a teenager. That is exactly what Madison and her friends wanted. To provoke me, to make me look crazy. So instead, I did something that probably pissed them off even more. I logged out of all my social media accounts. I disappeared. I figured the truth would eventually come out and that the people who really knew me would reach out directly or at least not pass judgment too quickly. Some did. My closest friends called or texted to find out what was really going on. My brother even came over to my place that night to make sure I was okay. But others simply vanished, picking a side based on whoever told the most convincing story online. I told the truth to those who reached out. The whole story, exactly as I am telling it here. Some believed me immediately, others were skeptical until I showed them the original Snapchat video. Now, whether they believe me or not is no longer my problem. I ignored it all and focused on the practical stuff. I changed the passwords to all our shared accounts. I called my bank to take Madison off my credit card, contacted my insurance to remove her from my policy. Adult stuff. Then 3 days after the club incident, I came home from work and found my car completely trashed. Smashed windows, slashed tires, control freak, keyed into the hood. My neighbor's security camera caught everything. Madison, Kelsey, Brittany, and Zach taking turns happily vandalizing my car at 3 in the morning. I called the police and filed a report. I showed them the security footage. The officer was really cool. He told me they had dealt with Madison and her friends before for public intoxication and causing trouble at local bars. He took the report seriously and said he would contact Madison. The next day, I also filed for a restraining order, including the car vandalism, screenshots of the posts inciting harassment, and the threatening texts Madison had sent me. Messages like, "You are going to regret this, and you have no idea what is coming for you." That is when things got really interesting. Madison's parents called me. I had always had a good relationship with her mom and dad. They are pretty normal, stable people, clearly baffled by their daughter's life choices. Her dad is an accountant, very straight-laced. Her mom teaches elementary school. They were really thrilled about our engagement and had already contributed financially to the wedding. It turned out Madison had told them I canceled the wedding because I had met someone else. They were confused because that did not sound like me, so they wanted to hear my side. I told them everything. Her dad sounded exhausted, like this was not the first time Madison had pulled something like this. "We will cover the car repairs," he told me immediately, "and we will deal with Madison for the rest." I felt bad for them. They seemed genuinely devastated by their daughter's behavior. They apologized a dozen times before hanging up, which made me feel even worse because none of this was their fault. The next day, all the social media posts attacking me had mysteriously vanished. Madison's friends went silent. Zach blocked me on everything. I am pretty sure her parents gave her an ultimatum and threatened to cut her off financially if she did not stop her harassment campaign. But the damage to my reputation was already done. People had seen those posts and made up their minds. Some of the wedding guests were already taking sides in a breakup they did not even know the real reasons for. I finally had to send a mass email to all the guests to tell them the wedding was canceled and apologize for the inconvenience. I kept it vague. No accusations, no drama. Just, Madison and I have decided to go our separate ways, and we thank you for your understanding during this difficult time. Madison, of course, could not just leave it at that. She started reaching out to guests directly with her own version of the story. Some got sucked in, others recognized the drama queen's usual routine. This whole ordeal turned our breakup into an exhausting public spectacle right when I was trying to process the end of a relationship I thought was forever. Eventually, things calmed down for about 2 weeks. I was just going about my life. Work, the gym, hanging out with the friends who had not turned their backs on me. I was already mentally detached from the relationship, which surprised people who thought I would be devastated. In truth, once I saw who Madison really was, something switched off inside me. All those feelings vanished. I could not even understand what I ever saw in her. My buddies kept asking if I was okay, if I was really processing the breakup, but honestly, I was doing better than okay. I felt like I had dodged a bullet. Then the wedding vendors started calling me. Apparently, Madison had contacted them to try and get refunds on the deposits. She was telling them I had forced her to cancel and that she wanted to reinstate everything. The venue manager called me, confused, asking if we were still getting married or not. I just laughed and told him, "Absolutely not. Sorry for the confusion." I had to call everyone back to confirm the cancellations and tell them not to follow Madison's instructions. Then her tactics changed. I started getting texts from unknown numbers, but it was obviously her. Messages like, "I miss you, can we just talk?" I would block one number, and she would use another. Classic Madison. When one method fails, she tries another. About 3 weeks after everything went downhill, I ran into her mom at the grocery store. An awkward moment, obviously, but she was the one who came up to me. She told me they had finally learned the whole truth because some of Madison's friends eventually confessed to everything. Apparently, Madison and Zach had been involved in an inappropriate relationship on and off for over a year, even before our engagement. The dare story was complete nonsense. Her mom looked exhausted. She told me they had cut Madison off financially until she got her life together. They had been paying her car insurance, her phone bill, and helping her with rent for years, even though she had always assured me she was completely independent. They also banned her from moving back home unless she agreed to go to therapy. She told me they had not raised her to be like this. These were her own choices. They seemed to appreciate me saying that. The next day, guess who showed up at my door? Madison. She looked bad, really bad. Not the sad but calculated look from her Instagram posts, but genuinely disheveled and tired. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Nope," I replied without even moving from the doorway. She immediately started crying, saying her parents had cut her off, that Kelsey was making her pay rent she could not afford, and that Zach turned out to be a jerk who only wanted one thing. Predictable. Then came the big tearful speech about how she had hit rock bottom and realized now what truly mattered, that she had made the biggest mistake of her life and wanted a second chance. She said she would agree to go to couples counseling, delete her social media, cut ties with her toxic friends, whatever I wanted. I just stood there waiting for her to finish. I felt no anger, no sadness, nothing at all. When she finally stopped talking, I simply said, "Okay, are you done?" She looked shocked, like she expected me to yell or take her back in my arms. But I just stood there, calm, completely indifferent to her performance. "I do not hate you, Madison. I do not love you either. I simply do not care." That hit her harder than if I had screamed at her. She started saying she knew I still loved her, that we could work things out, that everyone makes mistakes. I cut her off. "The only mistake I made was believing you were the person you pretended to be. It is over for good. Do not come back here." Then I shut the door while she was still talking. I heard her crying and yelling outside for a while before she finally left. Honestly, the neighbors probably enjoyed the show. After that, she changed tactics again. She started sending me emails filled with memories of us, old photos, inside jokes. When that did not work, she had friends of mine contact me to check in on me, but really to plead her case. Then, she sent me a handwritten letter apologizing in detail for everything. I skimmed it quickly and threw it away. About a month after the breakup, I was at a bar with some friends when I noticed Madison across the room with her usual crew. She was clearly staring at me, waiting for me to notice her. When our eyes met, she gave me a little wave, looking sad. I just shook my head and went back to my conversation. Later, she accidentally bumped into me at the bar and tried to chat, telling me I looked good, that she missed me. I stayed polite but brief, then went back to my friends. She looked frustrated that I was not playing the role she had imagined in her little reconciliation fantasy. The next day, I heard from mutual friends that Madison was telling everyone we were working on our relationship and taking things slow. Completely delusional. I had to send her a clear text. "We are never getting back together. Please stop saying otherwise." Her response was showing up at my work with lunch like we were still dating. My coworkers were completely confused. I walked her back to her car and firmly told her that if she did not stop, I was going to extend the restraining order and have her charged with harassment. That finally seemed to get through to her. She started crying again, asking why I could not forgive her when she was trying so hard. I just replied, "Because I do not want to. I have moved on. You should too." The most pathetic moment happened a few weeks later. Brittany, remember her? The friend who helped destroy my car, contacted me to say Madison had started struggling with alcohol and making poor choices and was completely spiraling. Apparently, I was supposed to feel guilty or responsible for her state. I just replied, "That is sad, but it is no longer my problem. I hope she gets the help she needs." And yeah, it has been 3 months now since this whole thing with Madison ended. Life has gone back to normal, maybe even better than before. I had the apartment lease transferred solely to my name, sold most of the furniture we picked out together, and bought new stuff. Basically, I erased every trace of Madison from my daily life. The social media drama has completely died down. Most people eventually heard both sides and understood what really happened. The friends who instantly believed that nonsense and turned their backs on me, I have not heard from them, and I do not want to. The ones who stuck by me, or at least wanted to hear my side before judging, are the only ones who matter. Madison still tries to contact me from time to time, usually when she has had a little too much to drink, judging by the hours and the typos. I do not reply. The restraining order expired, but I did not renew it since she generally keeps her distance. Last month, I ran into Zach at a gas station. He practically tripped over himself trying to avoid me. Apparently, Madison put him through hell too after I left her. I am not going to say I feel sorry for him. As for me, I am doing fine. I have even gone on a few dates recently. Nothing serious, just getting back into the swing of things. Work is going well. I am planning a trip with some buddies next month using the money I had set aside for the honeymoon. The biggest lesson I learned from this: trust your gut. Deep down, I always knew there was something wrong with Madison and her friends. I ignored it because I wanted to believe she was the person she pretended to be. I will never make that mistake again. And also, if someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Do not think you can fix them. Madison showed me her true colors that night at the club, not just by the serious betrayal, but mostly by the way she brushed off my feelings and made excuses instead of owning up to her actions. Anyway, there it is, life goes on. And if you are going through a similar situation, just know that it gets better. The drama fades, the pain dulls, and you eventually realize that you are much better off without someone capable of disrespecting you to that extent. Comment. Hey everyone, stories like this always make me stop and think about what really matters in life. I want you to know that protecting your self-respect should always be your top priority. Setting healthy boundaries is actually an act of kindness toward yourself. Never ignore that quiet voice inside when something doesn't feel right. Choosing peace over chaos is one of the bravest decisions you can make, and healing becomes possible the moment you take full responsibility for your own happiness. You truly deserve relationships filled with respect and genuine care. Walking away from what hurts you opens the door to something much better. Remember that your worth isn't up for debate. Keep moving forward and always choose yourself with love and strength. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.